1-1 then at Stamford Bridge. We're going to persevere, aren't we?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, everybody. Look, the red card, Enzo Maresca said he didn't have a problem with it. He had more a problem with consistency on previous decisions. But when you look at the Caicedo challenge, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at the angle he challenges at as well, and also just understanding why he's going in for the challenge initially anyway. So, we just want to run it on. I just want to highlight where the two players are initially now. So, if we just stop it now, and we're looking at the two players, Caicedo and Moreno. Caicedo doesn't see him. Yeah, he doesn't. All he's focused on, really, is that, and rightly so. As you run it on now, I just don't know why he gets involved. He's got his mate coming out as well at centre-back.
So Chalobah would have Moreno covered there?
Yes, he's stepping out there. But this happens a lot with Caicedo. Listen, he's brilliant. He's fantastic. Brilliant at winning the ball back. But he ends up in some really strange positions when he's making tackles. Now, he ends up with a situation now as he comes across, and I'm not just talking about the nature of the tackle, but he's actually now facing his own goal to make a tackle against Moreno. Now, forget the colours of the shirts. If we just put everybody in a black shirt, you'd think Caicedo's team were attacking that way.
Yeah, he would, yeah.
But that again comes from the angle. He doesn't need to get involved in that tackle. Chalobah stepped out with him. His man with Eze. But again, he's got this sort of...
He was pumped up today, wasn't he?
He was really pumped up. I think we saw that right from the start of the game. I think the whole talk this week of, Rice v Caicedo, understandably so, maybe got to him a little bit. It's a huge game. And he's ended up getting himself involved in a challenge. Yes, it's a red card. But where he comes from, the angle of the challenge, it's just daft to get involved in a tackle like that. He doesn't need to. We've looked at it again. It's just above the ankle. And when you see the ankle buckle a little bit, I think that's always a sort of a real giveaway for VAR to make sure that they give the red card.
It's his first red card for Chelsea. He is actually going to be suspended for the first game of the World Cup next year because he got 2 yellows in a qualifier, unless he gets a visit to the White House, and then maybe that might change for the opening game of the World Cup. Who knows? But when you look at him domestically, he makes more fouls to tackles than most other players in the Premier League. Now, is that youth and all-action style and something that may change?
I hope it changes. Yeah, because listen, he's a brilliant player. He wins the ball back fantastically well. But I think he does have a tendency, and I'm quite surprised, really. It's only you mentioned his first red card. I remember a challenge, I think, in the Carabao Cup final in Gravenberch a couple of years ago as well. And I don't think it's because he's so much a nasty player. I think at times he can look clumsy, and some of the angles he comes in with the challenge, and that was a case in point, really, where he ends up facing his own goal to win a challenge when basically he's got someone else coming behind him and he just doesn't need to get involved. So he's just got to be careful with that. But as I said, he's a fantastic player, but he definitely needs to learn from that. And I'm sure the manager, if he's come out and said it was, a definite red card, that's really good to hear, and I'm sure he'll speak to him.
It's not often, is it, at the moment, when we analyse set pieces in a game involving Arsenal, that they're on the receiving end of it, and we're going to look at the first goal that Chelsea scored, the only goal that Chelsea scored, which is Trevor Chalobah from this corner.
Yeah, and as I said, we don't talk about Arsenal so much. It was something we highlighted last season, actually, that they had a little bit of a problem defending set pieces, not so much scoring, as we know. But Chalobah, who I actually think has been outstanding for Chelsea this season, I speak at times about maybe a lack of a top centre-back, but he's been excellent this season. He's involved with Timber there as well. And it feels like a lot of the Arsenal players are actually more concerned with stopping a man than actually going to win the ball. I think Timber's the same. And I think Mosquera here at the back post, he seems obsessed with Enzo, rather than just trying to head the ball out. He is on the line at the back post. But what I would say is I think Chelsea deserve that. And what was really interesting in the game is Chelsea have got really good experience, unfortunately, of going down to 10 men. But we've been critical this season of how Maresca's gone about it, going with 10 men. We mentioned going to a back five, I think, at Manchester United. I think certain substitutions at home to Brighton as well. But in this one, he still had a threat going forward, in even later in the game as well.
And his substitutions were like for like as well, weren't they? I mean, Garnacho for Esteval, Delap came on for João Pedro. So as you say, it's not like they retreated. They tried to stay on the front foot.
Yeah, as I said, if you go through Maresca's time at Chelsea, you think of the Club World Cup as well, maybe the end of last season as well, there was a couple of red cards for Jackson. They've never really got positive results. We all know it's tough, but you shouldn't get beat every time you go down to 10 men. And today's a case in point. They're playing against the best team in the country, and they've got a 1-1 draw, and it was fully deserved.
As far as the equaliser that they conceded?
Yeah, I think he'll be disappointed with this, and the reason being why is, if you're going to lose a goal when the opposition have got the extra man, you want it to be for that reason, that they've got the extra man. And it wasn't really the case, because football is a numbers game. And when we look at the situation now, when the ball comes in the box eventually, you'd expect this, Arsenal to have decent possession, build up into the attacking third, but this is where it changes. And I just want to highlight this battle here. So what you've got is, you've got Fofana, Moreno.
Yeah.
Okay? So he's the goal scorer. Fofana's up against him now. I just want to roll it on very slowly. And as the ball comes to Saka, obviously we know does well with the ball, but if I just stop it now, yes, Arsenal have got an extra player, but Arsenal have got 6 players in this picture.
Yeah.
Chelsea have got 9, including the goalkeeper. So this has nothing to do with
being
Arsenal.
overloaded,
no,
yeah.
it's not. So I think when Maresca looks back at this and the Chelsea defenders look back at this, I think they'll be really disappointed to concede a goal in this situation, because what you end up getting is this.
It worked.
It worked. We got there.
We got.
But what you've got is a 3v3.
Yeah.
That's going to happen at 11v11. So I think he'd be disappointed that they've conceded this goal like this. But Saka, who just gets the better of Cucurella, which was something Yamal couldn't do in the week. But Moreno, listen, what a role he plays in this team. It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it, the role that he plays? A goal scorer, a box crasher, if you like. He's always in there with his head. Does really well. And you just, from there, you think Arsenal are going to go on and win the game, because as we've seen there, as the ball goes in, Moreno runs and gets the ball. He's trying to get the kick off quickly because they want to go on and win the game.
It's also that. It's also for a man who isn't a natural centre forward. It's the movement to pull off Fofana, and those natural centre forwards always would tell me, as soon as you can see your opponent's number, you know you've got them.
Well, it's really interesting, and I've said this before, but not about him. I've said this before about Havertz. I actually have always thought if Havertz was fully fit, he'd be the centre forward in this team, maybe not Gyökeres. Gyökeres came on today and was probably disappointed he didn't get the winner. I think Timber took one right off his head at the end. It'd be really interesting how long it takes before Mikel Arteta puts him fully back into the team, or he sticks with Moreno in that position, because he's been absolutely outstanding with when Gyökeres is being out.
I mean, they had a really interesting discussion in the studio after that, Theo and Daniel Sturridge, about whether that is Arsenal missing an opportunity. So on the one hand, they've got a point away in a London derby against a side who will be there or thereabouts, but they were down to 10 men. So which side of the fence would you fall on there?
I wouldn't say Arsenal were sort of negative, and that's been something thrown at Mikel Arteta over the last few years when they've been going for the title. I mean, you look at the substitutions he made, you know, Miles Lewis-Skelly coming on at half-time. I know Calafiori was on a yellow card, but again, he's going into midfield. Odegaard comes on, Gyökeres comes on. They threw everything at it. But I just felt as the game was getting to sort of the last 5 or 6 minutes, Chelsea was still a threat. So as a manager, if they'd have lost that wouldn't have just been losing a point. Psychologically, to lose against 10 men in a London derby, I think would have been a big blow. You've seen the Arsenal players at the end of the game. They looked a little bit deflated, but it's not a bad point. And I think it's not so much about giving criticism to Arsenal for not going on to win the game. I think we should credit Chelsea, who thought were outstanding with 10 men.